Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Everyday Vlog with Andy with Be Libre. So today we're going to talk about my 95 to 5 Bitcoin to alts investment split. And this is, of course, not investment advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I am sitting for the bar this February, so maybe that'll change. Maybe I'll put a new title on myself. But regardless, I think these vlogs should not be taken as gospel as far as where you should be putting your money and your finances. I am heavily in favor of crypto, and that is something that I truly believe is the future, but that's as far as I go with that. So yeah, let's talk about my 95 to 5 Bitcoin split. Alex, my co-host and counterpart in the Bitcoin space, he's a bit more diversified. He does see, I mean, I do agree with him that crypto is the future. I just don't know which cryptos are going to be the winners. So instead of putting a lot of big eggs in many baskets, I'm putting my biggest egg into the Bitcoin basket, and then a little bit of money here and there into other cryptos. There have been months where other cryptos just wildly destroy Bitcoin's gains. And these are the cryptos that are very, very small, that are literally worth cents and then soon to be worth $5. Well, then obviously you've made 1,000% increase, more than 1,000% increase in your portfolio, in your earnings. And I mean that's amazing, but you can't be calling those cryptos the future, because for one, a lot of these cryptos are vaporware. There's not a platform where you can use these cryptos yet. There's not an actual use case as far as what these alts can do. And I mean, for one, Bitcoin itself, it's only been a value. It's been a place where you can park your value, albeit sometimes in a manner that's a bit scary, because you can see the kind of drops that we saw the last week or so, where Bitcoin was close to 20,000, dropped down to around 15,000, hovered around there, dropped down to around 9,000. People were freaking out. So even then, Bitcoin isn't necessarily the safe haven for value all the time. But that's where some people have seen it, and that's where I've seen it, and that's why I've put 95% of my crypto investment into Bitcoin. The 5% of alts. So I'll tell you about the Feathercoin Litecoin issue I had in my head, where a couple of years ago Feathercoin was a thing, and a lot of people were investing in Feathercoin, and now you see Feathercoin dropping off massively, whereas Litecoin was the true winner between these smaller cap, I guess, Bitcoin clone coins. Litecoin is still doing decent. Litecoin has only been increasing, whereas Feathercoin has been dropping. And why did people decide to start dumping Feathercoin? Why wasn't Feathercoin keeping up with Litecoin and Bitcoin? And I would suspect it has to do with the developer teams. So I'm not sure about the full story. This is my guess. I would have to go in and do some digging. Maybe somebody can correct me on this, and I would appreciate it. I believe Feathercoin didn't have the kind of dev backing the same way that obviously Bitcoin has and Litecoin has. If Litecoin's dev team was actually working on Charlie Lee and co. were actually working on Litecoin nearly as much as the devs on Bitcoin have been working on it, I can see why Litecoin's value has only been increasing as opposed to Feathercoin. Litecoin, as many of you do know, and I find amazing, is Litecoin is kind of like a test bed for implementing things that Bitcoin should be working on and testing them on Litecoin first. So Segwit is a great example. Lightning is another example. Atomic Swap's another example. Litecoin is trying all this stuff out, guys. I mean, it's only a matter of time before, I mean, who knows if Litecoin is going to bring in some new tech into the fold. But of course, Bitcoin will always be programmable money. So cryptocurrency is programmable money. The difference between Bitcoin and all these other alts, where people say, well, then if your argument is that any altcoin could just implement whatever Bitcoin has, or any other technology that's amazing, why would Bitcoin remain the dominant cryptocurrency? And part of that, guys, is frankly network effect. if Bitcoin has already been building the kind of following, the amount of mining power that's gone into it, which secures the network, the amount of nodes powering the network, the amount of people that understand the brand of Bitcoin, understand what it stands for, as long as Bitcoin continues to work and it continues to herald this idea of decentralized money, then there is really not much these altcoins can do except try to continue working as well, and hope that if Bitcoin were to somehow fail at a catastrophic level in the future, then one of these altcoins would have to be shoot in to fill in the gap that Bitcoin, the huge gap that Bitcoin has left. Then maybe we see this future where all these alts kind of come in, and you have 5 different alts servicing the concept that Bitcoin, or servicing the space that Bitcoin has been. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. I think Bitcoin has only grown more robust as time has gone on, and it really explains my portfolio. The last few weeks, some alts were creeping up and bumping Bitcoin out of my 95-5 split. So some alts were pushing out into the 2%, 3% range as far as investment goes. So what I had to do was move some of that back into Bitcoin and try to keep that 95-5 balance. It's not fun where taxes are concerned. I have to be thinking about that stuff, as should all of you. But it has been there is another issue where Bitcoin is not currently, I think it's below the 50% in terms of the dominance, the market cap dominance. I think Bitcoin is below 50%. Once it creeps back up over 60, 70, what are all these alts gonna do? I'm really curious, and it's coming. Lightning Network is coming. It's currently, we have over 200 Lightning Network nodes, and the more that come online, the more that fees go back down to what Bitcoin's promised fee structure was supposed to be before it blew up in terms of network effect. So before we had all this noise and all this interest in Bitcoin, all this hype on Bitcoin earlier in the early days, transaction fees were below a cent. They were super cheap. You could almost get away with no fees for your transactions. But Lightning Network's bringing that back, guys. So we have, not only do we have the hype behind Bitcoin, we're gonna have the transaction fees that we were promising before. We are gonna have our cheap coffee on Bitcoin, guys. We are gonna have our cheap anything that you want to do. We are going to be doing microtransactions on Bitcoin again, and things are going to get crazy. I'm excited. My 95-5 split remains. So yeah, until next time, goodbye.